for about 4.5 days. And what I'm hearing now, I'm kind of shocked, I guess, because when I was there on the ground, the brothers there, they didn't. In fact, it was the opposite. It was like I didn't. Apparently, it's a two-faced thing, or maybe because I was an American, I don't know. They kind of pampered me, rolled the red carpet out for me. So, but it's I'm kind of surprised. I'm not shocked, but I did know the history about their relations with the Arab world, but and I did have some conversations with them about the Arabs and the black thing. Uh, and a couple of them got a little heated, of course. I was in Ethiopia twice. Um, so yeah, I'm very sickened in a sense to see our brothers who here and from Somalia, and particularly I'm speaking from.
They've been behaving like that though. Here, right. I don't know. I've never been to the country itself to see how they behave, but here, over here, even and on the East Coast, they have been really nasty to the African Americans.
Oh, is that right? Okay. Let me say this, Queen. I'm gonna let you take over. Yeah, I'm disappointed in what I'm hearing, and I think we're gonna have to hit the. I'm talking to the black men in America, the African brothers here in America, Jamaicans or wherever you're from. If you're black in America, I think we need to unite and hit them punks. I'm sorry, and hit them boys head on, because we cannot allow anybody that with that dark skin. If you come over here, you from Somalia, and you think you're an Arab, and your skin black, we're gonna have to deal with you, partner. And I'm sickened by it, to be honest. I wish I could get on a plane right now and fly to Minneapolis and go right in their stores and address every single one of the men there and make them respect black people, no matter if you from America, Jamaica, Haiti, Cuba, or Africa. No, you can't come into this country, and we know the history of this man that we've been under for 400 years. And you come over here and look at people that look like you and think you better, or want to separate, or you just stay to yourself, or whatever you're doing. Man, nah. So we gonna have to. So the brothers that's for real, and I'm serious. DM me, and we'll fly to get out 20 of us.
Kofi already there. The host is already in.
Oh, he's there.
What he did.
Okay,
so.
okay. I tell you what. Okay, then we get some brothers together in 2026. I'll take a flight. I mean, I out there, brothers that's from Detroit or Chicago, close by, and we all group up, down 10, 20, 30, 50 of us.
Damn, the women can't come?
No. I was just thinking though, like, don't you think, like, especially with what the administration has planned for 2026, it may not be the best interest to go, with confrontation?
No, I didn't say confrontation. That's not what I said. I said, and I repeat, go there.
Talk to them and let them know the way of the land.
We will address them like brothers and tell them that this mindset behavior it must stop, and it's going to stop. Now, if you refuse, that's when confrontation comes, sister. Now, if they refuse to submit,
he can't take no flight nowhere, man. He can barely plus the security checks at the airport.
Support our businesses and spend that money, and we support each other, then it will become confrontational. But if they submit to this brotherhood and this unity, then we won't have a problem. I land with that.
Why do the Somali community always in denial? I was on a panel last night and we were discussing this, and they were doing the same thing. You can't tell us what our lived experience is like with your people. Like, I just don't understand. When people tell me that an African American, Black American done some things that I know to be true, I don't sit and deny it. I don't gaslight people. I accept that. Sometimes I even offer an apology for the behavior of my people, but I would never tell someone, oh no, African American lady never did this or say that to you. That's ridiculous.
But do you think that a white tea person would, be confronted or engage in a conversation about the behaviors of the collective of white people, and they're going to do some introspection and some reflection and be like, you know what, you're right. We should, not be hostile towards Black people and treat, and oppress Black people just because they're Black. Do you think that that's something that a white person would say? Just, especially someone who's been, maybe a legacy racist?
I think liberal white people are some of the most that get on racist. They're still our enemies, nonetheless.
I agree, and that's the same thing I feel about Somalian people.
They hooped and hollered. I'm telling you, one time I seen this person in Richmond, Virginia. Richmond, Virginia is very Black. They had their Confederate flags, and this is during Trump and versus Hillary. I graduated from high school or whatever, and I was walking in Carytown going out to eat or whatever with my friend, and I was like, I want to talk to them, see what they talking about. So they was mad about the Confederate soldiers getting dug up and moved or whatever. They wanted their bodies to stay there and statues to stay and all this other stuff, right? So basically,
Sorry, guys. I'm tuning into another panel. They didn't call Somalis Arabs. You know how it goes. Just being hella anti-African while while wanting Africans to unite with Black Americans. So it's pretty interesting. What else? Black. Oh, FBA, you on here? How'd you get on here?
Oh, I did. You actually accepted my request as soon as I requested.
I think I got the auto one. Yeah, thank you. I just want to know. Hold on. I do want to listen to this, okay? Because there's a dude in here that I know, and I'm just waiting for him to say something stupid.
Okay, sounds good, bro.
Right.
Sounds good.
I see Black. You in here? If you want to come up, just give me a second, guys.
What do we have over here?
Oh, just to give you guys some context too, I went up there to kind of defend the Somali lady because they were just calling her Arab. They said that she's not Black, and so I went up there and I was like, brother, why are you punching down on her? You know what they're going through right now, and blah blah blah. He was mad that Somalis don't support Black Americans in America. And I was like, how can they support right now when all this xenophobia is going on?
Right.
And anyway, so I came on and he's like, where are you from? And I said, my father's from Teganya, my mother's from Mexico. But he didn't, I told him I'm from California, but he said, I can't talk on the subject and I'm not indigenous to Africa. So he just dropped me. He dropped me pretty much.
Right.
Yeah.
Yes, they're crazy, man. The crazy thing about them is how they like to center themselves in like everything, and feel entitled and want. They feel like people have, on them answers.
Hold on, FBA. Hold on. Well, we're gonna get to that. Okay, hold on. Just give me a second.
All right, sounds good.
Now they're on the hot seat. Coming in February, the shift is gonna leave from the Somalis and it's gonna go into the Haitians community. From there, they're gonna bounce around, and very soon, any Black person of African descendant will be targeted to be part of deportation. So yeah, that's where we headed. So yeah, it's all good and dandy. I went to Somalia and stuff like that, but obviously now all of them is gonna be deported as well.
Hey, host, can I make a comment to that?
Yeah, go ahead.
I think this is the opportune time to us as Black people in America to really unite, no matter where you're from in the world. This is the perfect time. In fact, the handwriting's on the wall. Based on what you just said, that it's going to be a domino effect. So, which watch this now. Which we should have been united prior to Donald Trump coming into office. We should have been working together. Africans, Jamaicans, Haitians, Cubans, Caribbeans, African. We all should have been together, supporting each other, all our businesses, shopping at all our black-owned bookstores across America, and educating each other about our cultures and histories. We should have been doing that. So I think now this is a sign telling us, forcing us to help each other and to unite as black people, as African people of descent in America, so we can help our disparities here in the black communities in America, our disparities in Jamaica, Bahia, Brazil, and Africa. And that's the way I see it now. I think it's a sign telling us, Donald Trump and his wicked administration, them devils, they're telling us, they're showing us what they think of us. They don't care nothing about if you're a Christian or a Muslim. And this is the facts. In fact, as you can see, let me speak this truth. You know the tree by its fruits. He's showing us clearly. So this should force us, make us wake up and see, man, we really need each other now. Man, this devil ain't playing. So I just
because
want
we can't have them doing this to the Haitians. Like we as African Americans have to stand with the Haitians.
Right, Black. I'm going even further. We have to protect and support all our African immigrant brothers and sisters here. We can't have them doing it to none of them. So they need to be on these platforms.
All right, I'm back.
Yeah, that host is weird. I was on one of his panel and he kicked me out. He said I was white for some reason. I don't know, cause I was speaking against the FBS and stuff, and he's like, you sound white. Get off my panel. I was like, what the? You crazy, man. Yeah. So since then, I don't really go on his panels like that.
I just left a panel that said Black Americans are delineating from African Americans.
Oh, wait, pause. Sorry, guys, I paused. I'm cooking some breakfast real quick. But go ahead and talk. Sorry, my phone cut off. Go ahead, guys. Sorry.
Yeah. What were you saying, man? Black? What did you say?
I said I just left a line that said Black Americans are delineating from African Americans.
That's crazy. Yeah, I just a lot of these panels, man. Sometimes I'm kind of realizing
I mean, that
that
don't even make sense because we are African American.
people that open these panels, before opening them, they forget to take their medication. Now when they're like talking, they just talk about anything and everything. That doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
Yeah. So what do you think about all these Black American and African uh, war that's happening on TikTok? What's your input on that?
Oh, these people are like a little misdirected. They don't know what's really
Right.
going on in the political sphere. A lot of these people came from the spiritual side of TikTok and kind of just like went into the political side. But like the first group of delineating people were the Hebrew Israelites. They were the ones that, their groups are kind of like split. Some Hebrew Israelites say that they're African Hebrews and that the original Hebrews were also in Africa and many different tribes. And then other ones just try to like change entire narratives and say like, these are Hamites. They're not our brothers and they sold us. And then other stuff without any type of like historical context. So those are the first kind of people to like delineate. And then the second people to delineate was the indigenous Negro Americans and some of the Moorish Science Temple. But it don't even make sense because like even Noble Drew Ali was never like tried to disconnect himself from the continent of Africa because he believed that the Black Americans was like Moabites from Morocco.
Right. One thing they don't realize, a lot of these Black Americans, one thing they don't realize is that they don't know how powerful that soil, the soil, like the African soil, it is. I mean, if you look on the track record and you see one of the, like the biggest public figures that came from Africa that just like were raised in the African soil and went to the world and see the kind of things that they conquered. If they see that, they can definitely see that there is something in Africa that everybody needs to go and witness. Because, for example, I can tell you, Obama, right? That's a African son right there. You know what I mean? So he from the African soil and then became a president in the White House. That soil is very different, man. You can see like a lot of impossible things that you think that it's almost impossible to get there in any office, and then you fight, and then you see this person just coming out of Africa and then boom, getting into this office. Another example, Mamdani grew up in Uganda, came to New York City, like boom, he's a mayor. Like that thing was almost impossible. So you gotta see these things and start asking yourself question: what is it so special about that the soil in Africa that anybody who like anybody who actually just touch that soil and go anywhere in the world will like conquer whatever challenge or whatever that comes on their way, and they will be able to defeat whatever that is. You have Elon Musk. That guy grew up in Africa. So you know what I'm saying? That's the African soil. That soil is very different, man. Once you touch that soil, like you become a different human being that you can conquer anything in the world. It has there's a proven record, and we have seen it. So when you actually going against that same soil can actually cast you out. And these FBAs, they're not understanding that African land that they're looking down on, that's where their ancestors come from. So they are putting curse on themselves without not even knowing it, but they're taking it as if it's just it's fun, like it's a great way to do things. It is physically, but spiritually is not. A lot of things can go wrong because that's like you cursing your parents. That's like you cursing your grandmother. See what I'm saying? Our parents, our earthly gods. So when you actually curse them, we have God in heaven, and on earth, those are our earthly gods. So when you actually curse your ancestors, you actually looking down on them, you putting curse on yourself without not knowing. But that's why most of them, they are doing this very ignorantly. You understand? They don't know what they are doing, but it has repercussions. You know what I mean? And most of them, since they're not, any spiritual person will tell you this. So it's very important to, know that most of these people, they don't know what they're doing. They think they do know what they're doing, but they don't, because if they did, they wouldn't have been looking down on the soil, on the land where their ancestors come from. They wouldn't be doing that. That's the biggest mistake. That's the same as you insulting your parents or insulting your grandmother. You understand? So she might not say anything, but it's bad. It's a very bad thing to do. So yeah, and that's why sometimes when I see them, converse into this conversation, I try not to argue with them, because I know they definitely don't know what they're doing. The moment they'll find themselves, they'll get back into their senses, and they'll start realizing some of these things that I'm telling you now, and maybe they might start doing things differently.
Yeah. But I get it though. Like at the heart of it is really about reparations and sovereignty. And that's always at the heart of it,
Right.
because they feel like, if Africans, if they align themselves with Africans, they're giving up their sovereignty, and they're not able to claim any sovereignty and land ownership
Right.
here, or they're not able to get what's well deserved to them. And that's just tying into the whole reparation case scenario. But that's really at the heart of it. That's really what it's about. But they really misinformed and don't know what the African continent actually helped us gain, and who
Right.
we are in the global sphere. And a lot of
Right.
times people are stuck in the one dimension where they're only dealing with the American law. And then, I talk about this with Vibes every time I join them. I bring up the topic about international law, international recognition, international world court, and how much bigger that is compared to, the American, system. And many of us know that basically we don't really exist as a sovereign entity in the United States, because we had to actually fight for our rights. We had to gain our human rights, our self-determination manually by ourselves. It wasn't really necessarily given to us like white Americans, and how they
Right.
were given those things. But a lot of people don't understand that. And then with the indigenous ideology, they don't understand that they are domestically dependent nations. They don't understand trying to identify under that puts you in a situation that is harmful as well when dealing with the politics of that, and identifying as I do agree, it's some ancient histories that we haven't fully connected, and I think that anciently we were here, but importantly, what's the problem is knowing that legally that doesn't matter, right? Because right now it's all about the paperwork and the legal stipulations that they already taken, and white people don't really care about fixing
So
things.
Black, let me ask you this. So you said anciently you were here, so that means basically you are native to these lands, right?
No, I'm saying we were here anciently, but I'm saying I'm not in agreement with the the stipulations
We
that we
were here
should delineate.
anciently, right? So if you said you were here anciently, means you were here. Black people were in these lands way back, like before anybody. Is that what you're trying to say? Well, can you elaborate when you say anciently?
Yeah, but
Oh, okay.
I'm saying that it's not really important to the legal festivities. That's why I rather stick to what's already been laid down legally by, that's been set up for, Black Americans with the African continent. But I know that there are some
I get,
individuals
I
that,
got, I got your point, man. I understand
yeah,
where you're coming from, but go ahead.
yeah. So I think, like, I'm not saying that, we're not, I know we're like, genetically related. We have, what do you call, we have certain disease traits. It's a lot of disease trait, immunal traits, certain things like that they use in like biological studies that show that, there's traits that connect us to the mass, uh, continental African people. So, you know, like, but for the most part, yeah, like the whole
So
legal situation.
you sounds like you don't believe in a lot of things, man. Because basically it's like you are not like hitting the point, but you are going, you know, side, you know what I mean, like zigzag kind of thing. But here's the thing, though, right? And I respect who you are, man. I'm not here to judge you, really. Like I'm not gonna tell
No,
you who you
I'm not
are. You
delineating
telling me
from African
who am
origins.
I?
Like
Um,
I'm just saying, like,
I'm
we've
just
been
gonna
on the earth
respect.
too long to not have been here. I get their point,
Right,
and I
right, right,
also
right.
agree with their
Yeah, yeah,
point.
yeah. And I respect that big time. I respect that. You know what I mean? It's there. That possibility is there because why? White T people have given black people so many reasons to not believe in them. You understand? So them coming up with something else and telling you guys otherwise, then you guys have all the reason to not believe them because the track record shows that that you can't believe anything that they tell you. So the fact that you guys are, you know, trying to find the truth on your own and digging deeper into some of these things, and then you're like, oh, look, this is what things are looking like. Is not what they've been telling us. So I respect that. You know what I mean? And I respect that you have all the right to, find out the truth. You know what I mean? I mean, when once the truth is hidden from you, you basically lost. You know what I
Yeah,
mean? Now, the fact that you're actually trying to find yourself into that process, the truth is coming out. So, you know what I mean? I respect that, I respect that. Getting reparations, of course, you guys need reparations. Why? Because of everything that you guys went through. Uh, I heard a lot of those days is like living lifespan was like 7 years because of how, they were working people out to the point where they can't live longer past 7 years. See how bad that was? A human being living for 7 years only? Come on.
yeah. But it's not
Yeah.
just like, our situation here is all, descendants of slavery, abroad that went through the same thing in the foreign nations that, they were taken to.
Actually, I'm going to give you an example. I was a kid myself. I never knew about the white supremacies, back home. And then, I was a kid. Like, at the time, I've never even met like a white person in my life, and I've never even seen one. So now, apparently, one of our neighbors got married to this one lady from, I think she was somewhere from Belgium. So they had a kid, or the lady had a kid, and that lady, basically, the guy was a stepfather to the white kid. And then, the kid came over for a holiday and all that stuff. And the kid, cause like we were, for the first time we seen, in our neighborhood, that, a white kid. We're like, damn, what is, like all my friends like, what is, this is like, those are the first times like, what is that? We, and then, elders started telling us like, oh, he's a white person. They live into, and then we asking where do they live? And they told us, in Europe, yeah, it's a white country and there's people with this color. And then, I was like, oh, okay. So it's like, does he talk? Does he eat? We kept on asking those, as kids, we were just curious. So does he talk? Does he eat? Does he, I was like, yeah, it's just like a human being, just like all of us here. But the only difference is just the, skin color and all. I was like, oh, wow. And then we started, becoming very close to him. And then, playing, and as soon as we started becoming close to him, then he started treating us in a very different way. You know what I mean? Because we, as soon as we were told by our elders, say it's just like you guys, it's just like any other kids. You guys can be playing with him just like anybody, you know, like he's. And then once we became close to him, then he started mistreating us. You understand? And
Yeah,
then we were like, what? That's weird. Like for us, it was like weird. It's like why would we be mistreat us with that? Oh, maybe it's just. And then it started becoming very noticeable. Even our elders started noticing that this kid, this boy is mistreating these kids, and then it became like a regular thing. Now sometimes our elders would go and tell their mom and say, hey, look, why is your son mistreating other kids here outside? They are playing, but he's just beating them. He's trying to, like, he's very aggressive toward them. And then the mom, she actually didn't say anything, and then she actually called him and say, hey, look, this is a different country. It's not like where you're from. You have to treat your people right. And then he still, he never listened. He kept on when we outside. So now we brought it up to our parents and said, look, every time we are in our neighborhood now, this kid keep on mistreating us. He's beating us. We're not comfortable anymore, And he was just that one, one white kid. That was my first experience with a white, person. So now, it came to the point where, Africans, they get to the point where it's like, you know what, this is the bottom line. You're not going to cross it. You understand? Because apparently it became like he was using the language. He was saying the language barrier was the problem. So he was speaking, I think he was speaking French at the time. And now we speaking our native language, he apparently said that he wasn't understanding a lot of things that we said. And we didn't also understand what he said. So he was blaming it on the language barrier. And so like, okay, so the language barrier now, the only option is like you trying to beat them up. And then we knew that was bad. We like, there is something, that's not good for you to be just beating. So my friend went and told the mom and said, hey, look, I'm giving you a last warning. Teach your kid how to behave out here, because the way he's treating us is not good. And the mom, she laughed about it. They were like, okay, if you don't do it, we will take care of it, and don't blame us. You understand? We gave a warning because for us, when they told us is just like a human being as us, we play with them. We wanted to become friends and play with them just like any other kids. Now he kept on doing that, and one of my friends like, you know what? Enough is enough. And the guy might walk up to him and gave him like a really good slap. I'm talking about like his whole face ended up turning red in like a second. And we're like, damn, why is he turning red? Why is he turning red? And the mom was so pissed off. She even sent them back to Belgium. You understand? She was very pissed off. Then she even sent them back to Belgium. And that's at that time I was a kid. That's when I started. I was like, oh, okay. Then I went and asked my parents, and they're like, yeah, white, like, a lot of time white people, they don't treat us well. And the reason why the kid was treating you guys the way they were treating you is because he thought that he was superior than you guys. We're like, oh, that's why he was behaving the way he was behaving. It's like, yeah. And then, good thing our parents, they taught us to don't let anybody step over you. Respect them, but don't let them step over you. Once they cross the line, that was like from anybody, like that was like anybody. It doesn't matter what your color is, anybody, you cross the line, then I have to, defend or do anything in my part to make sure that you don't cross that line. So, and that really happened. And the guy was sent back to Germany. I mean, not Germany. I mean, it was Belgium. Like, I was like, and then I was like, so he was sent because of that? That was really weird to me, man. And that was my first experience as an African kid having an encounter with a white man. You understand? And with you guys, the Black American here, you guys have had that, a lot. Now with me, with people like me, it was something new, so I didn't even know how to deal with it. The only way that some of my friend thought the best way to deal with it, just give him a really good slap. He'll start respecting you. He'll never disrespect you again. And I think that was the only medicine that the kid got, and he got sent back to where he came from. So and from there, that's when I started learning more about, oh, there's people that don't like black people, and they treat black people differently and stuff like that. So, and now I started growing, knowing that. Before that happening, I never knew anything about, like, I've never even encountered like any white person, because I grew up around only black people. So, which is, yeah, yeah, back in the days. So that was just one of my experience, man, that I had. So, with a white person. And another one that I had was when I was actually was in Miami. I had a very good friend, white friend.
All right,
You know,
guys, I'm back. I'm back. Sorry, guys. Sorry.
yeah.
Um,
Now,
FBA, you
yeah.
really need FBA. You really need to start your own lives, FBA. You have so much to say. You have so much to say, my brother.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Yeah. No, I was telling him my first encounter with the white kid, because I never knew about white supremacies, right? I used to think that it doesn't exist. So now, once when that happened to me, where this kid that I thought we were just like, we were all the same as human beings, and he started mistreating us, that's when, I was like, oh. And then I was taught it was white supremacy into him. So he was taught that way. He was taught that, as a black person, you are inferior to him, you are below him. So he had that kind of mentality. But one of my friends slapped him.
Oh, sorry.
Then
I'm gonna let
that's
you
when he
land,
changed.
FBA. But sorry, I just got distracted right now. Go ahead and land, FBA, please, and then I do want to start this bitch up. Sorry.
Yeah. And once one of my friends slapped him, then I realized that that was he was actually trying to use the white supremacists on kids just like him, and we didn't think that we thought that we were the same. So yeah, that's the experience. And the other one was one of my white friend asking me if I speak African, and the mom was actually there, which was very funny. He's a very good friend of mine, Brady. And I'm like, he's like, bro, do you speak African? And I'm like, and I'm looking at the mom, and I said, look, if your mom, I was like, look, this is so embarrassing, bro. We're friends, and then now you asking me if I speak African. And I was like, I'm like, so if your mom taught you that Africa is not a language, it's a continent, maybe you wouldn't, have asked me this question, because as a friend of mine, and you asking me this kind of question, it's such an embarrassment question, very embarrassing, man. I'm not embarrassed for you, but I'm embarrassed for your mom. And she was there, and everybody was looking at her, and the girl's like, yeah, that's how, yeah. But I'm gonna land my point.
Thank you, FBA. FBA, all you need to do, because you have you have a lot to say. There's nothing bad with that. There's just
No,
it's been,
listen, though.
hold on.
Yeah, go ahead.
Hold on. There's nothing wrong. I actually enjoy your stories, and I enjoy your experiences. I'm just saying you need a longer form for that. And the best platform would be your own live, because so
Right.
many people would be intrigued to come in, and then because I hate interrupting people. I hate stopping people when they're talking so passionately, because because people need to voice out, things, their experiences, things that they go through, and people need to hear these stories and learn, And I feel like you'd be best in a forum where you don't get shut up, you don't get muted, you don't get cut off, you don't get interrupted,
Very true.
and you decide who could add on to your story, who could question some of the things with you being in charge, you setting the narrative, right? So I'll tell this to all the viewers listening right now. If you want to start your own lives on TikTok, all it requires you to do is to go live. When you go live, you'll see the settings to go live, right? So the first time you go live, though, the requirement is that you go live for 30 minutes on 3 separate days. That's the requirement. That's the standard of how you go live. Because at first, when you go live, you won't be able to bring up any people. You won't have all the features that we have now as people that go live, and do these panels. So the first requirement is to go 30 days live, and nobody. It doesn't matter if there's 0 viewers or 1 or 2, because you're not going to be in the algorithm the same way as people that have been here longer, right? And so you go live 30 minutes, you can put it face down, and you won't be able to put a picture up or anything. It'll just be a camera. So it'll just count 30 minutes, let it go live, then wait until the next day and do the same thing. And then 1 more day, and then you will have access to what I'm looking at right now, which is you can put a prompt up, you can put a question up there, and as people roll in, they'll be able to jump into the live. There'll be a request button, and then you will allow them to come in. Now,
Right.
once you find your following, once you find your group, once you find people you could trust, you can make them moderators. They can actually take over the panel for you. Say if you're doing something else, but you want to just bring in a crowd of people, those people will be in charge of setting the rules. They will be in charge of muting people, dropping people, and allowing people to speak. So this is what happens because there's a lot of shit happening. You got your trolls that come in waves. They drop the N-word a bunch of times. You got people that interrupt constantly and don't want to let other people speak. You got people, you name it, you got it. Okay. On TikTok.
Right. Did
So,
you,
I mean,
Vebs, you followed me, right?
I believe so. FBA. Yeah. Oh no. You know what? Your account. Okay, that's another thing, guys. You guys don't understand this too, and it's kind of hard when people want to follow other people. Since your account is private, FBA, you have to go into your messages, like these messages sent that you won't ever see like on your normal page. It's kind of like private messages, right? Because since you're private, it won't let me send a direct message to you. It will go into your like spam messages or your messages, like private messages. And you have to go into those private messages and approve my friend request. Okay, my friend request is waiting. You go in there, you approve me, and then I have access to you, and now you could see what I'm doing, and vice versa. So that's what you have to do. There's probably a lot of people waiting for you to accept their friend request. To tell you the truth.
Yeah, there is. I know there. A lot. I don't even know.
So
Because my page, it's kind of because I'm gonna lose a lot of people when when I get these messages. You know what I mean? I don't wanna. I wanna keep it the way it is.
Yeah. So just go back
I
and
don't wanna.
accept them all. Accept them all. Again, you're gonna have to deal with warnings, strikes, banding, temporary bans. There's a lot of things that happen on TikTok, and you get flagged and warned, and you don't want to get. So you want to keep it TikTok friendly on the panel, on all that stuff. Okay, so that's the basics. Okay.
Right. All right.
But Black just left. Okay, Isaac. I think Isaac spoke. FBA.
No, I haven't.
No, not yet.
Okay, well, Isaac, thanks for being patient. And I don't know if you want to respond to anything. I have a whole monologue I want to do and bring and kind of usher in this conversation that I want to have today. But Isaac, go ahead since you've been up here, and if you want to say anything before I get started.
Honestly, I've been on several Pan-African, mostly anti-xenophobic, anti-black xenophobia panels like Obi's and yours. And what I've seen, I actually started this quite recently, like say about last month, what I realized is that these FBAs, I mean, if they can't show facts, they always get so xenophobic and throw insults at you. That's all they realistically know how to do. You cannot have a logical conversation with them at all. So this is why I tell any African who has the same mindset as me, not go onto any FBA or pretending panels. If they want to deny history, please let them delineate. It gets the problem off our hands because it shows us which amongst our race is not federally, compromised. Honestly, I think that this movement, honestly, it was started by a grifter. We all know Tariq Nasheed, that fool. But honestly, these people, they switch in and out. They switch in and out so many times, so you can't really take them seriously at all. And then again, I'm glad people like you, Vibes, and people like Obi, have these panels open, because it honestly gives us a space where we can tell the truth as it is. People who actually know common sense. And honestly, right now, I'm honestly hoping some FBA are pretending gets on here right now. That's what I'm honestly hoping for. But yeah, that's my point.
Yeah, I hear you. There's a lot of factions, you know. There's a lot of faction. There's the first time I came on TikTok, I met some what you call pretendians, right? But they were, you know, from Crenshaw, and they, you know, I never want to, because I'm Afro-Mexican, right? And some indigenous, right? That is within caught up in there. So I have like a legitimate thing for that. But I don't, the whole like, you know, I can name the tribes and stuff like that too, but in Mexico. So it's a little different, but it's in America. Maybe not the colonial borders of America, the one they know, but I feel like people want to be connected to anything that they're close to, or they want another story besides Africa because of all the xenophobia and all the indoctrination about what Africa has to offer, or they are ashamed of the transatlantic slave trade to the point where they want to dismiss it completely and not acknowledge it whatsoever. So, and then there's the ones who have ties that are part of the tribe, you know, through slavery or through means, because Native American people are so welcoming as well to their not all of them, okay, but the ones that I've like if you want membership, you have to be a part of their bloodline somehow. Like it's all quantum based, right? Quantum bloodline. So if you do have a mother that's Native American, right, and a father that's Black or African, right, or, you know, there's so many different ways where they can still be connected to that lineage, and still have membership in their tribal bands or groups, you know, so we can't dismiss it completely. But there's some that just want to come and attach themselves to something that they have no lineage to, you know, or they just want to completely dismiss those people and just claim that they are the true ones without knowing their language, without knowing their customs, without knowing all this, you know. And so that's very dismissive too, you know. So you have the whole Native Americans calling Black people Wabus. I'm not with the Siberian. They call them the Siberians or the redheads or the red faces. You know, those people could be very racist as well, you know, calling them monkeys and all this stuff. But you see Black people now that claim to be Native Americans doing the same thing to Africans, calling them monkeys, calling them, you know, having these same racist kind of things. So just to not relate to being African. So again, I've met a lot of these people. These people have actually become my friends, a lot of them. And then I find out they're like politics. And then I find out, you know, them saying some racist stuff. And then I cut ties with them, you know, or they try to tell me that I'm, you know, they know I'm African because I tell them I'm African. So, but I'll be that African that doesn't act like the rest of the Africans, right? Or I'll be the African that understands. Or they'll be like, well, you're Afro-Mexican, so you get what we're saying. Or like, so I have a lot of different kind of things going on, but at least what I do is I do let everyone speak, and I do like pick their brain, and they get to see the good thing about all this division and all this confusion is that people, like I said yesterday, people are finally starting to educate themselves about other people outside of their comfort zone. You know, even the FBAs that hate on the Africans, they are now more educated about Africa, maybe not in the most best interest, like intentionally, maybe subconsciously, but they're starting to learn about shit in Africa, which is, you would be like, well, they're learning about it because they want to talk shit about us, but subconsciously they're learning about their homeland. Maybe they're learning more and more about how closer they're related to Africa than they are here, So subconsciously, something good is happening. I'm not going to even lie. And then you have the Africans, right, who know now more about the Native Americans, because they go like, well, what tribe you come from? Because they want to, they want to burn the Pretendians, right? But in order to do so, they have to learn about what is a Native American, what tribe. They got to learn about the Chickasaw, the Seminole, the Cherokee. You know what I mean? So they're more educated now, even though it's to drag them. Subconsciously, they're learning more about other places. So you see how, like, even when we're trying to do something, like we're just getting more educated. So there's some good in that. But yeah, I hear you, Isaac. Today was, unfortunately, I went on a panel, African panel, and there's this other brother there that I know from another. You guys know Mansa, right? So Mansa trying to do this Pan-African thing, and we have a petition. I have a petition on my bio to ban Tariq Nasheed for hate speech. So anybody listening, go ahead and go sign that. But it's on my bio. Anyways, it calls for Pan-Africanism, us uniting, so Tariq Nasheed is not going to just stomp on African people without any consequences. We can't talk about the small hat people, but we can definitely drag African people. And now we have what we have are FBAs, talking their mess. They want to be so welcoming and so kind. And we created civil rights, but now they're trampling all over them. Now it doesn't even matter everything that they accomplish, because if they can't stick to it, then what was it all for, right? So, but anyways, we got FBAs dogging. We got Africans dogging other Africans, right? We got West Africans against East Africans. In East Africa, we got Eritreans fighting Ethiopians, Somalis, and so we got all these different factions as well, and it's going to be hard to do this Pan-African thing if we're having these little, tribal or all these issues, right? And obviously we want to elevate, and we want to talk about these things we do want to bring attention to the things that are happening on our homelands, obviously, but we also want to think about things on a higher level where we can look from above and see how we can somehow come together and fix these things, as people that are outside of that, the diaspora, right? People that are in America, that are not, in their homeland right now, but they can say something towards what they see happening, So I think that's what Pan-African is really about. Not just that. We need boots on the ground to let us know what's going on and how we can fix it. But since we're not really in control of that political space, it's going to be hard, like I said, to do this Pan-African thing. Not that it can't happen, because it definitely can happen, and it has done a lot of things for African people in the diaspora to come together on some issues. That's for sure. But just wrapping this up about how I was in a panel today with an African that was talking down to a Somali girl, and she just came up to just talk about the issue. I don't think she knew what, and I had just jumped in there too. I didn't know what the whole. Let me mute you guys because I hear some background noise. I don't think she knew what the topic was, and I think the topic was, because I didn't know either. But anyways, I saw one of Mounce's friends on there, and so I don't know what was his name, something Philly? No, not Philly. Anyways, I recorded it. It was African homie. I don't know where, but he was talking about how Somali people, or no, just Africans in general, were not helping Black people in America. So it's an African talking about Africans not helping Black Americans, not shopping at their stores, not buying from them, and so I was a little confused. I was like, what's his angle, And so when the Somali girl came up, he started asking her that well, first he's like, what are you? And she said, Somali. And then he was like, well, you're not indigenous to Africa. You're an Arab. You're not black.
What? They're
Yeah.
Cushitic people. What is he talking about?
So again, he kept saying that. He kept saying, you're Arab. You're not indigenous. You're not indigenous. And she's like, what do you mean? I'm African. And he was like, no, you're Arabs. You guys are Arabs. So I was like, wow. Okay. This is what he's on, right? And the other, like I said, the other friend was there listening, and he's a Pan-African supposedly. So I was a little like surprised that he was even on the panel, but I'm not going to judge him, right? I'm just going to sit and wait and see what happens. So that's where FBA, you came in, right? You weren't there, but when this happened, but you came in a little bit after because you were hearing me listening in on that. So she keeps saying how she is African, and he kept saying how she's not, she's Arab. So, and then it turned into, so where do you shop in Minnesota? Or where, how do you support black businesses, black Americans in Minnesota? And she's like, well, we mostly keep to ourselves. We mind our business, but, I do support, a black hair salon or some kind of like, I think it was hair salon or kind of like pedicure, pedicure or whatever. And she was like, and then he was like, well, where? And she was like, well, Uptown Minnesota or something. It's like, well, where? There's no black shops uptown Minnesota. And mind you, this guy's not from fucking Minnesota. But she was like, of course there are. And she started saying, anyways, long story short, man, he kept muting her. He kept telling her she was Arab. She's not black. They're not the same. So I don't know where this guy came from. He's African himself, telling another African, an East African, that she's not African.
I'm sorry, Vibes, I'm sorry to interrupt you, but do you remember his username? I think I might remember. I think I might know.
I recorded him, so I have to go back and look, okay? But I will let you know later on. But check this out. So this is where it gets interesting. So I come up, and he asked me where I'm from. And I tell him that I'm from California. My mom's from Mexico. She's Afro-Mexican, and my dad is from Eritrea, And he's like, all right, what do you want to say? And I was like, man, at this time and this time right now, when we're dealing with FBAs and we're dealing with xenophobia, and the first target they see, because it already happened to the Mexicans. Now it's the Somali community. So I don't think we should be punching down on Somali people right now in their community because of the obviously what's going on with the president and the people attacking them right now. They are the main focus, I know FBAs wished it was the Nigerians, right? they prayed and hoped to their white Jesus that it had to be the Nigerians. But since it's not the Nigerians right now, whatever this administration is going to start attacking are the things that they're going to double down on and start talking shit about. So as an East African, I'm supporting all East Africans because I know we're next. I know the Ethiopians are next. Even though, like I said before, guys, we have our own conflicts there. We talk shit about our own people or our neighbors. But when it comes time to unite, that's what they're gonna do. I feel like a lot of Black Americans, a lot of FBAs are jumping into these African panels, and when we're in there talking shit to each other. And a lot of it is banter. A lot of it's roasting, a lot of that is part of our culture, but they use it against us. They use it as, it's like we're pouring, I forget that saying, but we're just making it worse because these people are in our panels or our African centered panels taking notes and and seeing how we talk to each other. So we have to lead by example because they're ready to turn us all against each other and be laughing with the white tea people at the end and watch this shit go down. So, but anyways, I go up there, I say that, I didn't say all that, but I just said, I don't think we should be punching down on this sister right now. They're going through a lot, And then he's like, where are you from again? And I said, I told him again, and he's like, well, you're not indigenous to Africa either. You're an Arab.
He's a
So
clown.
I was like,
He's a clown.
I know, bro. And then I was like, and then the other guy that I told you that I know from another panel about Pan-Africanism was just sitting there silent, didn't say a word. I've talked to this brother before. He knows who I am. but he just stayed there silent, didn't say a word. He's Black American too, by the way.
Yeah, that
And
guy is a clown. I've been on his panel. He kicked me out.
and so and again, I'm talking to an African. I don't know from where, but I'm talking to an African. So
Wait, did he support FBA? Just quick question. Did he
well, I
support
don't.
it?
He's supporting African people. Okay, the title on his banners had said something like "All Black people are African." Okay, but on his panel, he's talking about how Africans should be supporting Black Americans in America through their businesses. Why don't we support them? Why, all this
Is it
like. Hold
is he
on,
the
hold
guy
on.
with the dread? He has a dread.
I
He has
don't.
dread.
I have to go back and look. FBA. It's on my other phone. Okay, I'll come back and let you guys know who exactly he is. But in the meantime, I'm just saying this because I was confused about his topic and his subject, but then I found out more context. As I'm listening in. So, anyways, I just said, don't. We shouldn't be punching down on her, and we should be all supporting each other as Africans. And so he got mad at that and booted me out. So. I'm on his ass. I'm not really gonna waste energy with him, but there are people like this out there, And right now, as we're trying to unite as Africans, I know. Listen, guys. When we talk about West Africa and East Africa, I know it's not completely the same. I had a panel here. I'll show you guys. Right, I had a panel talking about this very same subject, with African Muslims and Arabism in Africa, okay, and because I heard people talk about like all Muslims, are part of Arabism. All people that practice Islam that speak Arabic are Arabs, and that's just false. There are African brothers and sisters that are Muslim, and they practice it in their own way. That obviously. When we talk about Arabia as it is now and the people there now, it's different than what it was like 10,000 years ago. It was part of Africa, and so we got to understand a lot of these differential things. Now, on the flip side, there are East Africans that feel like they're better than the West Africans, that use the same thing of colorism, texturism, featureism to look down on our brothers and sisters of darker melanin, or we can't get away from people that are so influenced by another culture, not religion, but another culture, like another people that they want to be them so bad, and look down on our brothers and sisters in Africa. So on the flip side, I understand it too, but I like to not generalize all people. I don't like to just look at Somalis and be like, they're Arab or they're just Muslim, and we got to, I'm not gonna look down on someone because of their religion. We have Christianity in Ethiopia, right, or in Eritrea, but we also have Muslims in small hats, not the small hats, but the religion. You know what I mean? And so I can't look down on anyone particular, but I can look down on like the white Christians, right? The white people that use Christianity and used it to do colonization or the Inquisition with, right? Just as the Arabs took Islam and did what they did with Islam, when African people had touched Islam, it wasn't not everybody was taken by the sword. Some people accepted it and turned it into something beautiful, So we have to understand all these levels of mindsets. But a lot of people don't even want to take the time to think about all that. It hurts their head. these people, they're watching baddies on TV, and then they want to be political all of a sudden and come on TikTok and talk their shit, or their culture is just so different. And when they come on these spaces to talk intellectually, they can't because there's no room in their head. Okay, so not everybody's fit to talk and be in these spaces. That's what I really do believe. And people just want to have a say in panels and subjects that they have no idea about and talk down and just join the rhetoric, the racists, the xenophobics, the white nationalists. What we have right now is white nationalists in blackface. These proud Black Americans that are so proud they put blackface on top of their blackface. So just to show you how convoluted some of these people are, and not all. I love my Black Americans. I love my African Americans. I love people that have an affinity to Africa, that understand that we're brothers and sisters in this. And if they want to separate from that, they want to create their own identity, that's fine. Just don't talk down on other people while you're doing it. Don't go, working for your slave master, and don't think that we're not going to see it, that we're not going to spot it, So anyways, I've been rambling a little too much. I'm sorry. I wanted to jump into this. I have something written down that I wanted to talk about, but I do see we have a new guest. We'll hear what he wants to say, and then I'll let Isaac and the FBA respond, because I know you guys have been quiet and patient. And then I'm going to start reading what I wanted to read. But go ahead, Abu. Let me read it. Abu Bakr, brother. Salam alaikum. Welcome to the panel. Can I get you to introduce yourself with your race and ethnicity and where you're from, please?
Yeah, definitely. My mom is Somali. My dad is full Yemeni. My mom is full Somali. So I'm from Djibouti originally, in Minnesota. Yeah, I'm just learning, bro. I'm just learning about
Awesome.
FBA.
Welcome to the panel.
I didn't know. I didn't want to ask the panel what is it about, because I know they're gonna mislead me. So I was like, all right, cool. I wrote it down and I did some little YouTubing, and it is accurate, man. It is accurate. That's just the way you explained it. It definitely makes sense, bro. Now, when I go to that panel, I just don't want to argue with them, because I know that if you align with their objectives, they will let you talk. If you give them an educational contradiction against what they're pursuing, they're gonna mute you right away. So I'm like, nah, man, this is crazy. FBA is, just like you said, is a white man with with dark skin. It's like very divisive. That's all I have to say. Very, very divisive. Very sad. I even heard a Kenyan lady. I think she lives in the U.S., but originally from Kenya. She was looking down on Somalis, and I felt bad because I love Kenyans. They're the most coolest people ever, the most welcoming people. But from the way that she was saying about Somalis, bro, she said 100% Somalis are criminals, are scammers, and I felt bad because I always had this, wonderful things about Kenyans at the back of my head. I'm like, I couldn't handle it.
Abdi, I think the reason why she was saying that, right, is because you know what the politics in Kenya.
Hold on, FBA. Hold on, FBA. Hold that thought, my brother. I just want him to land his point, and then I can just come back to you guys, okay? Please.
Oh, okay, all right.
Thank you. I'm sorry, brother.
I'm good, brother. Thank you.
You landed your point? Okay. Simply, I did say that I was going to give FBA and Isaac a chance to speak. So I'll go ahead, FBA. You can go on. I just wanted to make sure he landed his point. And then Isaac, you can go on. If you guys can go under a minute so we can introduce Simply, I'd appreciate that. Go ahead, FBA.
Yeah, I think what the lady from Kenya was probably saying was that I think it's political. There's a political shift in Kenya. That apparently the current president is trying to give ideas to Somalians in Kenya so that he can be put back in power next year. And then a lot of Kenyans, they're not agreeing with that because they're saying that how would you give ideas to people from Somalia? So maybe she's mad about that. She's not mad that Somalians are actually being looked down upon in here in America, because if you look at Kenya and Somalia, those are brothers. Those are brothers. People do business together. The economy in Kenya, a lot of it's run by Somalians. Go in Eastleigh, look at the mall. That mall right there, in the mall, you feel like you're in Dubai. It was built by Somalians. So we have a lot of things in common. You go to Garissa, it's a county in Kenya, but it's Somalian. You go to Wajir, you understand. So I think what she was trying to actually be mad about, I feel like it's more political than just being mad with the Somalian people. You understand?
Thank you, brother. I'm learning.
Yeah, bro.
Okay, thank you, FBA. Isaac, go ahead if you wanted to say anything, and then I'm gonna let Simply up here.
But yeah, I'm glad Mr. Abubakar, he discovered what the FBAs truly are. They will mute you. You cannot have a logical conversation with them. They are pseudo-scientists, pseudo-believers. I don't know if any of you guys have heard or have had any encounters with one of these pseudo people. I think his name is Light Bearer or Light Bringer. He's one of them. He is a full-on pretendian. He believes in all of that nonsense. I mean, you honestly can't have a logical conversation with these people. I asked him, what was the customs of his tribe? What was the beliefs of his tribe? What is the language he speaks? He can't answer any of that. And he already brought up the excuse that, oh, did you know back in slavery we weren't allowed to speak our native tongue? And then I asked him, didn't you know that the Native American slave trade was illegal? It was illegal. It was illegal, like, what, in the 1700s? In the 1770s, 1780s? So I'm like, come on now. You can't just... Honestly, I only been on him with 2 times, and I honestly gave up. You can't have a logical conversation with these people. And I keep on telling my fellow Africans, do not engage in any discourse nor interactions with these people. Even African-run lives, you will hear them. They'll allow these FBAs to sit and pretend to say the most outlandish nonsense, even though you'll never say any insults toward them. And it's like, come on now, come on.
Yeah, Isaac, I will say this. That's why we do have to make a clear distinction if you're an FBA or you're indigenous, okay? You can't be both. You can't be meddling in both because one, FBA, even on their website, it says that they have African ancestry. They're African descendancy, right? They can't shake that away, okay? As much as they want to delineate from their African ancestors. There's no amount of delineation you can do when your spirits, your ancestors are rolling in the grave just listening to you guys speak about Africans. Now, if you want to be indigenous, that means you can't tie yourself to FBA because this is all about money. This is all about them getting reparations from the white T-man and hoping to isolate themselves from the rest of the diaspora so the white man can be like, oh, here's my good little pets, and here's this money that I've been owing you since 40 acres and a mule, which I'm not saying that they should not get something for the suffrage. I'm saying don't be expecting shit from this white man. Do not be expecting anything, but they feel like they have to make this move. Let them have it. But, again, I don't like to say cut people off and don't talk to them at all. I have some empathy, like I said before, about but you're right, Isaac, about them using FBAs to shield themselves from Africans asking them questions and them uniting together. There's no unification between the two because the FBAs call them pretendians, okay? So how are they going to group up with people that call them pretendians? And FBAs only want to group up with them so they can be like, we're native to America. So there's a whole lot of confusion going on. But either way, let's go ahead and introduce Simply welcome up. Can you introduce yourself to the panel, and then you can go ahead and add in anything you want to respond to.
Yes, I am an FBA. And how you guys feel about us is sad because we're the same people, fully blooded African. But apart from that, obviously I'm trolling. I'm African. Vibes, you know me, right?
I was about to say, I mean, I don't remember everyone Simply, but I think I do remember.
No, I was just remember when what's his name? Mansa was doing his live and you were trying to help him create his new live. I wasn't alive with him. Mansa,
Okay, I got you. I got you. Yeah. He's calling me right now. He wants to talk to me, but yeah.
Oh,
go ahead, sister. Go ahead.
But in any event, so I had decided that I would never join an FBA panel again. However, I find myself back on the same algorithm. And what normally takes place is I go on there not to speak on what they want to do, but to let the other people that go in there so curious as to what they're speaking about and say drop from the panel. Because at this point, it's not about reparation. It's not about delineation. It's about clout. It's about the numbers. It's about attention. Because the real work is outside of TikTok, but they're not going to do that work. The people that are doing the real work are African Americans. And my issue with this whole FBA thing is that it tries to rewrite history, right? And erase the fullest story of Black people in this country. It kind of turns African American lineage into a brand. And that whole brand is what people should stop entertaining. Stop going on FBA panels trying to have conversations with people that are going to keep their echo chambers. They're going to continuously repeat the same thing over and over, hoping that you understand them. Understanding someone doesn't mean you have to accept it. But a lot of us are so docile and we just listen and say, "Oh my God, yeah, I understand." You shouldn't understand when I think 13 or 14% of people do not hold power in America. It's embarrassing. Like the term itself, when a person coins a term like foundational Black American, which was coined by Mr. Tariq Nasheed, you have to ask yourself what it means, what it stands for. Initially, I was like, oh, this makes sense. Foundational Black American. These people have been here for centuries. It makes a lot of sense. But everyone on TikTok do not understand what it means. Meaning even those people that identify as FBA. Because the first thing they hear is, I've never been to Africa. And all of a sudden that makes them less African, if that makes sense, right? I was born here, but I'm still African. You know, I still have my ties. My kids were born here. So there's a good chance they're going to start building history, but that would never erase the Africanism. My whole point of this is let's have conversation with like-minded people and respect the people that make this country better. And those people are the Black activists, African Americans. Do not let a FBA tell you, oh, if it wasn't because of us, you would not be here because of the 1964-1965 Acts. I can guarantee you, people like Malcolm X, Martin Luther King, all those people did not have division in their mind. They were true Pan-Africanists, and mind you, I don't even like the new era Pan-Africans. Can't stand them. But they were true Pan-Africanists, and the reason why they had so much motivation to become who they are is because they embraced Africa. Africa gave them the more Africans gave them the drive to want to become better in the country that they were oppressed by white people. Not the other way around. They did not delineate from the continental Africans. They united with Africa so they can become better in Africa. Now, the second part of that is obviously what's going on with my Somali people. Shout out to Somalis. You got my full support as a Fulani from West Africa. So it's easy now that FBAs are even using that as a talking point. Meanwhile, did you know there's a white woman who had the biggest scam in Minnesota during COVID-19? Did you guys know about that?
Yeah, her name is Emily.
Exactly. No one talks about that. FBAs will use the closest proximity because you know what happens when you have people that look like you. It's easier to insult them because you know the response when all of us Black people. One thing we have in common is our pride. So it's easy to have a conversation with a Black person and blame them for your mistakes. But no one talks about that. It was a white person that caused the most scams in Minnesota, but no one has that conversation because they know they don't want to touch on a point that's gonna get them in trouble. So right now there's a lot of immigration issues going on. Africans tend to be an easier scapegoat for a lot of these foundational Black Americans. But I got news for them. A lot of us are born here. We probably now have access to both knowledge. We have continental African knowledge and we have American knowledge. And we're still grounded and we unite with African Americans. So I just say leave those FBAs alone. Let them do what they want to do. If their views go low, they'll stop talking. I promise you. Eventually they'll have a WhatsApp group and then have their own conversations. But I'll end with that, if that helps.
Yeah, speaking of scam, Trump himself is a scam. You know what I mean? I mean, if we see the big, beautiful bill and all the money that has been allocated to the immigration stuff and compared to how slow the immigration is going, and you ask yourself, where's that money going? You know what I mean? Like you would probably think like it would be something big, like a very big, massive deportation. But with what he's doing, it's just theaters. You know what I mean? There's nothing is going on. It's just him having 3 ICE officers acting around and saying that the money has been located to the immigration enforcement and all that bullshit.
Right. I have something written down that I want to read to you guys that I wrote. And this is, again, it's for the Somali community. We have your unwavering support, both Eritrean and Mexican, so you got the Mexicans are going, the Mexicans went through it too, and
Yeah, they did.
And so it only makes sense for me to come on here and support, because I mean, who's going to be next? Like I told you before, the FBA's wanted it to be the Nigerians so bad. They have so much to say about the Nigerian brothers. But since the administration, the current administration didn't focus on them, I think the Haitians are next, you know what I mean? So, but the thing that they lack in is that the Somali community is less than 1% here. And 90% of the Somali community are American citizens.
No vibes. Can I correct
They're
you?
not,
When you say 1%, immigrants make up less than 1%. Immigrants in
true,
America
Oh,
make up less than 1%. So it's not
right.
just Somalis.
Okay.
Somalis don't make up that
That's
1%.
what I meant.
We are
That's what I
1%
meant
in
to
this
say.
country. Yeah.
Yeah,
Right. So it's even
also,
less. So it's even less of
can
a percentile, okay, for Somali communities. That's sorry. Thank you for correcting me, sister. But again, guys, I do want to remind you guys: do not let an FBA claim African American, okay? Do not let an FBA claim all the achievements of African Americans or even Black Americans, because there's a lot of African Americans or Black Americans that are not delineating from those terms, that are proud to be African, that are proud of their descendancy, that have an affinity back to Africa. These FBAs do not have that. And the ones that do, praise to you, but the FBAs that we've come to find out, they're delineating away from those terms. They want nothing to do with those terms, let alone African, so we have to be mindful when they try to co-opt everything since 1960, everything that the suffrage movement has happened, that they want to claim all the leaders, all the creators, all the inventors, all the musicians, all the great Black people in America, that they just want to throw FBA on. Okay. Those people never subscribe to that label. Okay. This is something new. Like we said before, Tariq Nasheed, he repopularized it after Claude Anderson, who came up with the term foundational Black American like 10 years ago. And that brother never would have guessed that Tariq Nasheed would have taken that and tried to make money off of it. And Claude Anderson, actually, he was is someone you could support. He was talking about Black economics and bringing the dollars, Black dollars back into the communities to fix their communities, and it was about Black upliftment and empowerment. He also talked about immigration, but he talked about it in a way that YT people pit immigrants versus Black Americans. And he was really aware of that. And he was saying separation because all the things that the white T man brought the immigrants for had nothing to do with Black Americans and how they were using them to pit on one another, So he had a more understanding that you can actually see and support than what Tariq Nasheed is doing with the whole FBA rhetoric that he is spilling over. So I did want to say all that.
And I just want to clarify one thing.
guys, let's stop the screen, please.
Claude Anderson never used the word FBA. Claude Anderson, what you said is true. He was an economist. He was a political scientist, but he focused on, he had another term. I think it was called
Native Black, but
yeah, but it was not
no,
ever, he never, so Tariq did
I have I have the video, sister. I will show it to you.
He used the word
I don't know if
FBA?
you've seen. Yeah, he used the term foundational Black American.
Oh, okay.
I'll show it to you. Okay, we don't have to argue about that. I wouldn't say it, if it wasn't true. I'm not saying he popularized the term. We know Tariq Nasheed did that, but he's the first one to say it the way that rolls off your tongue. Foundational Black American. Now, did he have the same intentions with it that Tariq Nasheed had? No, that's what I was trying to say. I was saying that Tariq Nasheed didn't even create the word foundational Black American. You know what I mean? He did not create that term. So simply, have you heard of anybody else creating that term?
So, because I did do my research on Claude Anderson in the past, and I don't remember, but we don't want to talk about that because you said you have proof. All I know is
Right.
that what I respected about Claude Anderson, what I still respect about him being an economist, is that his focus was about black self-sufficiency, making sure that you control your own economy. But I don't hear that from the FBAs at all. So I do
Right.
understand that. But the second part is that people don't understand is the reparation component. That reparation component, people don't know. a fun fact is the highest court, the Supreme Court. You know who has the highest position there? What's his name? Clarence Thomas. You guys know who Clarence Thomas is?
Yes.
All right,
Please
look up.
remind the panel. Educate us,
So
please.
I don't know if Clarence Thomas. Listen, I don't know if you guys. You know who Thurgood Marshall is? Let's start with that, because this is what's embarrassing when people don't know their own Black history and they talk about it. So Clarence Thomas is a political figure. He has the highest position in the Supreme Court. This is a full Black man. He's a second Black man in that position. Second Black man. Google him and get information. He is against reparations. He's married to a white woman. So when FBAs are constantly coming for Africans and saying, "Oh, we have a say in their reparation," that's bullshit. An opinion doesn't make it a fact. I can sit right now and say you don't deserve a raise, but that doesn't change anything. It doesn't. And first of all, that's the thing. Every time I speak, people assume because I'm an immigrant. Me being an immigrant doesn't negate the fact that I actually know what's going on. It is what it is. That's it. But yeah, look him up. You'll realize that Africans are not the problem. Spanish people are not the problem. Your own people are the problem.
Yeah, facts.
Oh, hold on. First, Jen Clairforian. I was born here. I'm a second generation, so good luck with that one. And my parents are not even an anchor. My parents already had the documents.
No,
You
but
might
let me
want to know
say
your
this.
parents'
Let me say
The
this.
haters are gonna be let's not pay attention to the comments. They're gonna be out there. Hold on, SD. I have to introduce user first, and then I'll get to you. Okay, brother. I'm sorry. I'm just doing this in order. I've been trying to read this thing I had written down, and everybody keeps coming. Okay, user, go ahead and introduce yourself with your race or ethnicity and where you're from, please, and then go ahead and respond to anything you want to respond to.
Hi, hello. I'm Somali and I'm from Minnesota. So there's a lot actually that you guys don't know about the so-called Somali fraud in Minnesota. So like as my sister simply said, do you guys hear me?
We can now.
Okay, sorry, there's something wrong with my phone.
You
So
didn't get muted. I'm gonna ask my mods. Don't mute her, please. I don't know. You didn't get muted, did you, user?
no, I don't know what happened. So as my good sis, sorry guys, I keep getting muted.
Okay, hold on, user. Let me see who's a moderator because I'm
It's
gonna
only me
just.
here, the moderator. I think it's your phone.
Is it your phone? Yeah, SD wouldn't mute you.
Yeah, it could be my phone. So the Feeding Future, that was something that was orchestrated by the Minnesota Department of Education, and it was during COVID. And for me, it was just hella suspicious that they were giving out all of this money without any documentation, any audits to a bunch of people that can't speak English. Secondly, with the autism fraud, this is something a lot of people don't know. There were a bunch of white women who came in from other states, from Iowa, I think some from Seattle, who were affiliating themselves with close to 400 to 500 agencies. And as far as I know, as clinicians, you're not allowed to have all of these kids and all of these agencies under your license. A bunch of people reported this. A bunch of people in our community reported this to the state. Nobody did anything about it until it came out. So the Minnesota DHS, Minnesota Department of Education, was very, very complicit in this. They didn't do their jobs. They slept at the wheel, and now they're trying to scapegoat the Somali community. A lot of the stories about money being sent to terrorist groups, it's a lie. It's bullshit. And what's confusing to me is like a lot of these funded targeting and these funded bots from a bunch of people. And I don't think it's Black Americans. I think we should be really wary about the narrative that, you know, that these people are trying to play a game. They're trying to do a diaspora war, a race war. So we should be very what's the word I want to say? Very cognizant about how we attack this. I think us in the Somali community, we have to kind of realign our allies and kind of figure out, you know, the people who are really for us, because it's kind of disappointing, a lot of the rhetoric that I'm seeing. And a lot of us are not really political, but I think this is going to change it for us moving forward.
Okay, thank you, sisters. Appreciate that insight. And you know, we're here to support and do what we can. And I know we're really limited in what we know on foot, you know, boots on the grounds kind of perspective. So I appreciate you coming on and giving us that information. Stick around. We will have an open panel. Okay, sister. SD, go ahead, my brother. Assalamu alaikum. Welcome to the panel, and introduce yourself. And you know how it goes.
Yeah. Thank you. Yes, walaikum salam. I'm Sudanese, but let me say this. I want to thank the people who went to the Sudanese marching in New York and Chicago. So even there was African Americans there. So I want to thank those who went and supported us. But I want to say something about the Somali thing and what Trump have been accusing them. The whole thing doesn't have anything to do with the fraud or the money laundering. No, the case was Ilhan Omar. She accused the UAE of supporting the RSF. See, this is the crazy thing. The Somali community is so small. I think there is only about 50,000 Somalis in one city. But they have a huge effect globally. See, because we have a war in Sudan that have been going since 2023. And there was a crazy group, military group called RSF. They have been genociding many people, innocent civilians, villages, burning everything down. So Ilhan Omar went up and spoke about this and directly accused the UAE, the Dubai. This woman is so honorable. She's so strong, and I want to thank the whole Somali diaspora for this woman. Yeah, because Ilhan Omar, she's a great woman. Yeah. But anyways, for coming to the topic, I want to say that the FBAs, I mean, let's be honest. Those groups don't have anything good to do with their own people, let alone standing with Africans or black people who look like them. Because believe me, they will never care about any black group suffering. So there was an interview I saw back in the 60s, was a white farmer speaking about freeing the slaves. He just said that the slaves back then, before they have the civil rights and the education thing, the slave before having those freedom, they were happy. They were singing music. They would dance, and the white slave owner would hype them up and clap for them. So that's how the FBA's move and think and feel about other black people. So yeah, they're good for nothing. I think some of them are accusing that what Dubai or the UAE is doing in Sudan is good. So yeah, I don't think those people are good for anything. So yeah.
Okay, thank you, my brother. Appreciate that insight. Okay, now I do want to share a video with you guys of this lady that had the caucasity. You know, even though she's a Black American, she sounds like a white white woman. And when I say sounds, I don't mean like the voice or cadence or like her voice, like mentality. I'm talking about her mentality, right? And you guys have probably seen this video already, but this is what's circulating around. And this lady had said these awful things about the Somali community. And mind you, she rents from a Muslim, and now she is getting backlash online, and she's scared, but she's still talking her shit. Like, she's kind of using this all for clout, and how Black Americans came and supported her with her post that she said about the Somali community. So this is what the lady said. I'm about to play it for you guys.
Columbus, Ohio. Come see Columbus, Ohio, fraud investigators. If you go to the government assisted housing areas, you will find that most of the housing is Somalians. I would say about 80% of the government assisted housing in Columbus is occupied by Somalians. And the parking lot is occupied with a whole bunch of brand new cars. And the women walking around have designer purses with EBT cards, and they have Apple iPhones stuck up in their hijabs. Yeah. And then go to the businesses that are owned by the men. Because see, what happens is when you have a restaurant or when you have a little corner store and you have a couple of wives and you only have to claim one, then that means the other wives get EBT cards, and you can use those EBT cards to buy food for your store or your restaurant. Yeah. Or what you can do is you can get a home health aid company. And then you only hire Somalians to work the home health aid. And what you do is you just make sure their paperwork looks right. It don't have to be right, but you just make sure it looks right. And then you send them off for those home health aid jobs. Y'all don't want to talk about fraud.
Okay, so that's her little video, and she made other videos, like everything about Somali. That's the fraud aspect. She has one about them getting deported. She has a bunch of them, right? And and so she got a little clout. She got a little viralness. I think it was like 101,000 likes, and she's on cloud nine. But just this morning, she was getting death threats, and people were coming to her house. They doxed her. They found out where she lived. She's a little nervous. They found out that she rents from a Muslim, so she might be getting booted out soon. So she's looking for support online right now from the same FBA people that supported that post,
Yeah, they're not gonna support her. They will let her. She won't even know where. Because here's the thing about these people: when they come out online and really try to go viral with these things, very stupid. They only known going viral for like very stupid things. If it's not, a harboring in salon and try to record somebody, it's something stupid like this other lady that just did here. So why are you making headlines on just stupid things? Why don't you make headlines on like something like, oh, a black-owned gas station in Ohio or something? We don't see you guys on those things. Why?
Right. So I had a little something to Esty. Did you want to respond to that video before I'm going to read something out that I had written for this lady?
Yeah, isn't this the light-skinned woman?
Yeah, she's light skinned.
Yeah, I saw it. Yeah, like this type of individuals that we are talking about. Because believe me, if this case was about some, even like FBA one was accused of this thing, she'll still accuse him. Believe me, because the way she's acting and move, like, just tell me if this woman was Somali, would you even believe that she's American? Like, she look Somali, so I don't know why the self-hate is continuing. Like, she dropped a couple of videos more about Somalis and how she's going to free Minnesota from the black Somali Mohammeds. Yeah.
Well,
Anyways,
at least she recognizes that they're black. We're gonna have to we're gonna have to clip that part. Because they love to call them Arabs. So at least this one says that they're black. And again, it is a lot of self hate. And self hate towards the people that look like them. And they always go, well, we can tell that you're Somali. Look at your forehead. Look at how we look different than you, and not realizing that all black Americans don't all look the same. You guys have the same spectrum of light-skinnedness to beady little eyes like this fucking lady right here has. Those fucking eyes look like she could possess someone with those goddamn owl fucking eyes that she has. So, again, all y'all think y'all pretty or handsome out here, think again, okay? But beauty is in the eye of the beholder, okay? There's no set standard for fucking beauty. The only beauty that you guys have been looking at are white people to set that beauty standard for you guys. That's why you guys hate yourself, hate your skin color, and hate other people that have your skin color that don't come from America. So, anyways, I'm going to try to calm down. But anyways, I did want to read off something that I had prepared for her. So let me read it. So every time these xenophobic creators open their mouth about Somali immigrants taking over housing, running fraud, or not assimilating, what they're really exposing is how deeply they've internalized the overseer mindset white America designed for them. Because notice something. When black Americans criticize white corporations stealing billions, nobody says they're not assimilating. When white immigrants from Russia, Ukraine, Ireland, Italy, Greece, Israel, Canada, and Eastern Europe slide into the U.S. with fraudulent paperwork, expired visas, fake marriages, fake W-2s, stolen social security numbers, shell LLCs, and ghost nonprofits that siphon millions from federal contracts. Nobody calls that a cultural problem. That gets called entrepreneurship, hustling, startups, or opportunity zones. But the minute a Somali woman walks through government housing with a Coach purse and a working iPhone, suddenly that's fraud, theft, or abuse. The same behavior becomes criminal only when it's performed by a black foreigner. That is not logic. That is jealousy wrapped in surveillance, wrapped in white supremacist language patterns. The ideology behind those Somalis are running fraud talking points is not new. It's recycled plantation logic. On plantations, enslaved Africans were manipulated into policing one another to protect white profit. House slaves were taught to snitch on field slaves. Overseers used to gossip and create distrust so that enslaved Africans turned suspicion inward instead of upward. Fast forward 200 years, and you have xenophobic creators performing the exact... Hold on, guys. Let me flip the page. The exact script. Watching immigrant black families more closely than they watch the white-owned corporations stealing millions from SNAP, Medi-Cal, Medicaid, HUD, and federal subsidies. Somali families in affording housing aren't the ones who wiped out black banks. They aren't the ones who gentrified black neighborhoods. They aren't the ones who created redlining. They aren't the ones who pushed predatory loans. They didn't fund prisons. They didn't write crime bills. They didn't militarize police. But they are the easiest to complain about because they're visible, black, foreign, and easier to scapegoat than the master behind the curtain. And here's the part FBAs / xenophobics never want to confront. The reason you keep seeing Somali families in government housing is because America placed them there. Refugee resettlement chooses cheaper cities with available units and corporations like Catholic Charities, Lutheran Services, and World Relief. Almost all white run. Take millions in federal dollars to place refugees in those specific buildings. Somalis didn't pick Columbus or Minneapolis. The U.S. government dumped them there for profit. A Somali family applying for housing cannot override a white landlord. A Somali renter cannot override Section 8 approvals. A Somali dad cannot override zoning laws. But the xenophobics talk as if Somali immigrants run the entire housing department, the whole HUD office, and zoning board. This is how you know the critique isn't about systems, it's about resentment. Meanwhile, the same creators, these creators on TikTok, these alleged influencers, these FBAs, these xenophobes, screaming, Somalis commit fraud, Somalis commit fraud, will never mention that white-owned corporations steal 22 to 25 billion in food stamp fraud, Medicaid fraud, and housing fraud every year. They never talk about white billionaires living off subsidies while pushing anti-immigrant rhetoric. They won't talk about the fact that Donald Trump, the same man they cheer on when he deports black immigrants, received millions in government bailouts and subsidies, lied on taxes, created shell companies, and used his presidency to enrich his own family. But Somalis using EBT to feed their kids, that's the real problem. The math is not mathin'. And let's talk about assimilation. Oh, shit. I keep getting these goddamn appeals. Guys, somebody's reporting me or something. TikTok could allow content. I don't know what these restrictions are. SD, can you still see the panel? Or I mean, can you still see the
Everything
prompt?
is good. Yeah, everything is good.
Okay. I don't know. It keeps sending me shit to that I have to appeal, and I don't know why. I have to read it again, but let me just finish this. Let's talk about assimilation. Somali immigrants have been here 20 to 30 years. White Americans have been here 200 years and still haven't assimilated. Chinatown didn't assimilate. Little Italy didn't assimilate. Amish communities didn't assimilate. Jewish neighborhoods didn't assimilate. Russian enclaves didn't assimilate. And guess what? Nobody cares because assimilation is only demanded of darker immigrants. When white foreigners preserve their culture, that is community. When Somalis do it, it becomes a threat, a takeover, or they're not being American. But when you dig into the rhetoric, you realize that xenophobia or xenophobics is not describing Somali culture. They're describing their own internal insecurity because the real complaint isn't that Somali won't assimilate. It's that Somalis don't need to. Somali immigrants came with an, yeah.
But I just want them like from the angry FBA's patriotic ones. I want them just to visit the Somali community. Like, would the Somalis kick them out or invite them to dinner or stay or even help, like ask help from the Somali community? Like, would they refuse to help you? I just want to know, like, can you do this? Can you visit Minnesota and tell us how the Somali community is not assimilating? Because I think they will have another experience or answer from what they preach.
I think the ones that have already done so know that. The ones that choose not to is because they choose to keep the racist rhetoric going on in their heads. They never even gave it a chance or a thought. Isaac, I've tried to get you up here, brother, but something's wrong with my shit. I can't invite people up for some reason. It throws them off. It kind of I think it kicks you off. So I have to wait until you show up in that little invite box, and I think that one's the best one. But if I try to invite you from the bottom, from that thing, I think it kicks you off. So again, I apologize if that happens. Yeah, SD, they're not trying to come and visit, and then they get mad when the Somali people create their own Somali town. And, they're more afraid because they're Muslim too, so that creates suspicion as well. and animosity and the big takeover. So anything we do in America, they want to call it a melting pot, but as soon as we start melting, then they will melt and they won't be a whole white nation, you know. They like to do this so they can always secure themselves here and show us who the real boss is, you know. So this is what this is about. So that's why when people jump on this bandwagon to hate, it really comes from a nationalistic perspective. And then these black people in America that think that the white man's going to treat them better because they talk down and talk shit to black immigrants. I don't know what they receive. I don't know what they expect to receive. They're not going to get a STEMI check. You know, they're not going to get money out of this. So the only thing they're going to get is a manual to how to talk down and talk shit to black immigrants. That's the only thing they're going to get. And they're going to sound like them. And they're going to think at the same time that they're running this nation, just like the white people, that they get to decide, that they have the authority to tell people if they belong here or not. They want to act like they're ICE agents themselves and work for Homeland Security. White America needs them as allies to report on illegal activities, illegal immigration. They have become the new slave catchers. For real. Like, let's not joke around. I mean, that's essentially what's happening, you know. And, you know, unfortunately in my community too, you know, the Mexican community, we have a lot of Mexican Americans, a lot of Mexican MAGAs, you know, that choose a side, you know, and choose to repeat the same hateful rhetoric that was done to their ancestors or to new immigrants that are coming that actually got here through a legal process, you know, that were captured in the courtroom or their kids were captured at school. You know, this is how it always rolls out. Oh, we're just going to get rid of the really harmful illegals, the criminal ones, the ones that create heinous crimes. That's how it started out. That's how everybody bought into it. But I think everybody knew it was really going to happen. That's why they voted for him anyways. So then you get, you know, now you get mothers, now you get children. Now they have a new market of human trafficking. Now they can really use these people how they really want to use them and treat them. Now they don't have to pay them. A lot of these businesses were bailed out when they fucking made their employers work and then called ICE on them and then didn't have to pay them for the 2 weeks that they worked. They didn't have to pay that because they got deported.
And those Mexicans are the displaced one from the cartel wars. So people
That
not
too.
need to know
Yeah.
this. Yeah,
Yeah, of course. And America had its hand in that.
absolutely.
What
Yeah.
do you think? Yeah. Destabilizing other countries and flooding in the drugs, the smugs, and expecting not all this casualties and refugees, literally refugees that need to come here. That's why the borders are open for those people, because all the karma debt that America has stewed in other countries, including African countries, you know. Let's not also talk about natural disasters, okay? When natural disasters happen in the world, people come here. That's okay. What are you gonna say? Oh, you fled from your country that had a natural disaster? Ha ha ha. You're gonna laugh at someone that had to come here because of a natural disaster, you scumbags? Like, you guys don't even know what the fuck you guys are saying. You guys are just talking out of your ass. So, anyways, don't get me started. Where was I? Somali immigrants came with the intact culture and intact religion and intact family structures, intact sense of self, intact connection to their homeland. They know exactly who they are. Meanwhile, white America stripped African Americans of their languages, religions, names, tribes, and histories for 400 years, and now weaponizes that forced amnesia by pitting FBAs against Africans out of insecurity. So when FBAs say Somalis won't assimilate, what they really mean is, how dare you still have what was stolen from us? It is grief masquerading as hatred. Now add the purebred dog analogy, okay? I want you guys to hear up on this one. We're going to add this purebred dog analogy. FBA's claim they are the real Americans, yet their entire political worldview revolves around seeking approval from the same white establishment that historically treated them like livestock. White supremacy spent centuries breeding enslaved Africans for labor, temperament, work ethic, and compliance. The exact same way white colonists bred dogs for specific uses. Some were bred to be laborers, some to be loyal, some to be domesticated, some to be aggressive towards other black people. That legacy shows up today in how xenophobics behave. They attack African immigrants harder than they attack the white system actually harming them. They bark at Somalis but bow to their political master. They bark sideways, never upward. And the irony, Somalis are not tethered to white power. They came with culture, language, religion, clothing, community, and identity that white supremacy could not erase. But FBA rhetoric often reads like a leash being pulled. Their worldview begins and ends with white authority. We built this country. We fought for civil rights. We allowed immigrants in. Allowed? You allowed? Black Americans did not approve immigration policy. All right, guys. I got a violation warning for misinformation. I think I'm going to stop this live. Anyways, thanks for listening. I don't want my account to get banned, so I'll come back later. All right, SD. Thank you for coming up, brother.
Good day.